What's going on, guys, and welcome in to the Bench is Cleared podcast, where we cover the best rivalry in all of sports. I am Jesse Gutierrez, and I represent the side of the San Francisco Giants.
And I'm Tyler Cohen. I represent the side of the Los Angeles Dodgers. You know, one day I want to introduce you, Jesse, just so I can be like, he represents the San Fran Giants, the Frisco Giants, the SF Giants, just to piss off everyone. I think that would really get a rise out of everyone.
Well, I don't think SF they would care, and I think that if it came from you, it doesn't really matter because they know you're talking shit. Like if I said it, I think that would be a problem.
Yeah, whatever. It was just a thought I had.
Yeah, well, it was stupid like usual. We have so much to get into. The stove is so hot right now.
Scorching hot.
It's like Hansel, so hot right now. Giants actually make a signing. Jake McGee.
Yeah.
Real solid.
Another Dodger leftover. I see what you guys are trying to do.
Hide your husbands, hide your wives, because we taken everybody out of here. So I think. I mean, it was obvious that his numbers were going to be a little inflated being in Coors for a long time, but his year with the Dodgers was really good. I'm a little skeptical on exactly what's going to happen, I think, with the 40-man because it's full. I know when we talked to Caleb Berger, he was saying he would prefer to try to be a starter. I don't know if they're going to let him just, try to be a starter back in AAA, and not have him up. But as far as the 40-man goes, I don't know if they're just going to call it for Steven Duggar or they're going to make a trade. We shall see.
Yeah. I was thinking about Jake McGee the other day, and I was wondering if the Dodgers were going to re-sign him because he was used in a lot of low leverage situations.
Okay.
I mean, pretty much primarily in low leverage, but he did pitch in the playoffs a little bit, and he pitched well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he would be. I thought he would be a great signing for how cheap he is. So, especially, for the Giants, it's a solid signing.
Yeah, I feel like the Giants bullpen is going to be pretty damn good. I don't think that was necessarily. They did go through a dip where they lost like 4 or 5 games from mostly with the Trevor Gott blow up, but I don't think that they had necessarily a bad bullpen last year. But I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot better. I think the big problem with them last year was their stars. Their offense was awesome. So I don't know. I feel I keep on like just getting really excited to see this team. Obviously they're in the NL West.
You're going to be so bummed this season because you guys, I feel like you're just building up like we're going to be great. Even though you're not saying we're going to be great, I know you're thinking like, we're going to surprise a lot of people, and then you're not, and you're just going to be so bummed.
Well, I think we did surprise a lot of people last year, which is very true. But I think without expanded playoffs, it makes it a lot more of a long shot. But I don't think it's that crazy to think that they're going to sneak in that last wild card spot. And it'll probably be with the Padres. Padres, Giants is what it is.
Not even going to be close. I will say, though, I was watching MLB Network last night, and they had Dave Essay and some guy who reports for the Padres talking about who could be the team out of the NL West besides the Padres or Dodgers who could surprise you. Both of them said the Diamondbacks.
Why? They did.
I don't know. I was not expecting that at all.
I think they get better?
Exactly. I feel like the consensus should be it would be the Giants, but
yes, unless I don't know, because they're going to be a middle of the road team. If everything goes to plan, they'll win about 88 games. And I think a lot of people just assume they're going to lose a lot to the Dodgers because the Dodgers are the top dog, but they never do, even when they're a shitty team. So one thing is, though, they do play really shitty against the Padres. It doesn't matter how good or bad the Padres are, too. So that kind of sucks. But I don't know. I'm believing. I'm a believer.
We'll see how far that gets you.
All right. Well,
without expanded playoffs.
Well, do you think at the last minute, Hail Mary, the expanded playoffs are coming?
I hope no. I feel like last minute Hail Mary, the DH could come back, but it seems like the DH and expanded playoffs are kind of hinging upon one another. So I feel like if one goes, the other one will go. So I don't know.
I feel like the owners want that. The owners are trying to lump them together, but when it comes to, I don't know, when it comes to the union, they don't want to lump it together because I think the big thing is they want to get rid of qualifying offers. I think that's a big thing that they want to try to get rid of in the CBA, and I think they might try to lump, hey, you give us DH and qualifying offers off the table, then we'll do expanded playoffs. And they're talking about doing 14 teams, not 16 teams like last year. So it's a little better, but still pretty shitty.
How I don't even see how that just seems stupid.
I think it would be that idea with the bye week.
I mean, suck. I don't mind. I like that better because then you can just do, the top two teams in each division, and then I guess a more true wild card where out of who else has the best record. I like the idea of the bye week better than what we had last year. But I like what we had before last year better than both of these ideas.
Yeah.
So
I like the wild card game. It gives a disadvantage if you don't win your division. And it doesn't set other teams back. They're not waiting for a full week. They're waiting for 2 days. So their arms get rested. And, if you play in the wild card game, your ace can't be used. He can be only used like one time during the next series. So that's a huge disadvantage, which you should get a disadvantage if you don't win your division. There's no disadvantage with expanded playoffs. So if anything, you might get a disadvantage for if you're a good team, if you have a bye week and you're just sitting for like 4 or 5 days, not doing anything. I mean, your bullpen and your starting pitching is going to be great, but your hitting can go cold as shit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But it's funny because I feel like they're going to be pushing for the DH now because of what came out yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? I think yesterday, with the deadening of the balls, which is something let's just jump into it right now.
But how does that tie in together? You kind of I feel like you were just like, oh, speaking of that, and you just did something completely.
Well, hear me out. Okay, so we MLB juiced the balls, right?
Yes.
And now they're walking that back and being like, well, maybe that was too much offense. Don't you think the middle of the road would be okay if we're deadening the balls, at least have a DH, so that will at least give a little bit more offense than just deadening the balls and having the pitchers hit. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but a good point by David Price. He tweeted, I did see that MLB is slightly deadening the baseball. I thought MLB said it hadn't been juiced, and pitchers knew all along. So it does make, I mean, their explanation was it was just made too perfect. Like it was going from man-made to machine-made, and it being made perfectly like symmetrical to each other, the ball was just carrying more. So that makes absolutely no sense that you could just like slightly deaden it if they didn't juice it, which we've been saying a long time, because obviously they were, juiced it when you go from using the same old balls they're still using for the minor league. So, double A and below. So obviously they still could have made the old balls. So it was basically, it was juiced.
Yeah, it was
juiced.
It was it's like how they say Area 51 is the worst kept secret. This is up there with the balls are the same. We didn't juice them.
Have you ever been to Roswell?
No.
It is overwhelmingly cheesy marketing. Like all of the like the McDonald's and like the Walmart, they're all alien themed. So it's like it makes me
lame.
That's what I'm saying. It makes you think that actually Area 51 is bullshit, and they just did it to try to use it as a tourist attraction.
So I will say the only time I've been to New Mexico was on tour.
Uh-huh.
And in the van, we had the first and third row of seats taken out so you could sleep, like fully extended.
Yep.
I fell asleep from Arizona and woke up in Texas.
Okay.
So I've been in New Mexico, never seen it.
Well, one thing, getting back into the subject at hand, I think pitchers are going to be a little bit more happy. I think guys who took 1 year like flyers, that are pitchers are going to be a lot more happy. I think I'm curious to see who really capitalize on the live balls. I mean, we're obviously going to see some numbers dip. If you had to pick one player that their numbers are going to dip a bit because of dead end balls, who would they be? Go.
I need a minute to think, especially because a lot of guys have changed teams this year. So there's a lot of, different factors. I don't feel like
really I'm saying someone from your team, so it doesn't matter who went where.
Okay, why don't you go first, genius? Yeah, you just wanted extra time to think. Fuck you.
That might be true, and I'm going to tell you the person that I think who is mostly affected by these balls, and that person is one. I don't want to throw nobody on the bus. Fuck.
Honestly, keep stalling.
Yeah, because the thing is I feel like I'm like, if they do have a bad year next year, I'm gonna feel like I did that to them. But I'm gonna say fuck it, and I'm gonna go Evan Longoria. I think he did have a huge bump. I mean, he had a terrible first year with the Giants. Then when the balls were juicy, he had a second coming in 2019, had a very good season, and in 2020 kind of came back down to earth just a little bit. So I'm going to go Evan Longoria. I hope I am wrong, but that would be the person that I am going to choose.
If I had to pick someone,
you have to.
I guess I would pick Max Muncy, only because he's pretty much only been in the league since the juice ball.
Okay.
Because the juice ball's been around for what, 2 years? 3 years? Mm-hmm. So he might have been in
the first year.
Oh. Well, then never mind.
I
thought it was like since 2017.
Yeah, I had one person in mind, but I'm really not going to say it because I really don't want to jinx this guy, so I'm not going to get into that. So that's why I picked Evan Longoria, because I feel like he might have a bad year anyways.
All right. Well, if we're just doing that, Clayton Kershaw, it's gonna, he might have been able to hit 1 home run, but now he's gonna hit 0. There you go. That's my answer.
He hit a home run before the juice ball, so now
one. He has one career home run.
Well, guess what? Now Kershaw's gonna have a 4 ERA because of your bullshit, and I hope you brought that on him. But how are we feeling about go on to the next subject? Let's we're running through these things. How do you feel about all the COVID protocols? With when taxi squad is still here, 7 inning double headers. The batter, I mean the runner on second, extra innings. How are you feeling on that?
I don't want to like it, and I don't really necessarily like it, but I understand it. Because especially the 7 inning double headers, because if COVID breakouts happen, it's going to be necessary. It just absolutely is going to be necessary if you want to even the playing field where teams all end up playing the 154 games or 162, whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say they didn't shorten the season in the protocol.
Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. My thing is, I believe that the 7 inning double hitters are useless at this point because over a 60-game season, yes, there's not a lot of time to make up games. So I don't think that, obviously you needed to kind of run through them, and you can't play, 2 double headers right after each other and, expect to have some arms when you're playing 28 innings in 2 days. So that made sense then. Over 162, you might have to make it up. Like you'll have less home games because you might have to, the next time you go to that place, and you might have to do a couple double headers there. But I don't know. I feel like over 162, it's not a big deal. So I don't like it. I'm not for it. I've never been with the runner on second. I can understand. I can understand maybe after like the 13th, 14th inning, because I mean, only someone as stupid as me likes like 18 inning games. Except like, I don't want to say I like them. Because sometimes I'm like, dude, I want to go to fucking bed already. Just, I don't even care.
And especially when you lose
a
15, 16 inning game,
that's true.
Just way worse.
When it's 16 innings and they won, it's like, oh, worth it. So excited. But then you wait up all night, and then all of a sudden you wait up all night, and then you have to work at like 5 a.m, and then they lose. It's like, why don't I even play? Why don't I even play if I can't even win?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the runner on second base. And I like what you said, that after like the 12th, the 13th, sure, do it.
Give it to me.
But it's not real baseball. And the one thing that I thought was funny is, I don't know if you saw in the COVID protocols, they eventually decided against it, where any position player can pitch just like it's always been. But they were trying to sneak something in there that said only position players could pitch after like a 6-run deficit, or after like the 7th inning or something. And it was, I was just like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
That never happens anyways. What would that matter to anyone?
I just don't. One thing is, I just don't understand why else that would happen. I mean, they're basically like that's when you would, if you're down like 10 runs, that's when a position player comes in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then like so, and a position player is not pitching 7 innings and putting him in the 3rd inning. So it doesn't really make sense that you would put that in writing.
Yeah,
it's kind of like saying like, only the person that's batting can hit a home run. Well, yeah, bitch. Yeah, like I don't understand why that has to be in writing. But shit, man, if I was the Players Association, fucking use that for leverage. Like, all right, we're giving you this, but we got to get the DH.
Yeah, right. No qualifying offers, but we'll position players won't pitch either. It's no big deal. But the roster size staying at 26 and only expanding to 28 in September instead of, I understand not having the traditional September call-ups, having 40 guys in the dugouts, but why not just leave it at 28 like all season, like last year?
Yeah.
I don't understand why, we're so worried about COVID, which, it makes sense, but we're like, let's not give them as much flexibility as last year. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I completely agree. Especially and more Ross. I think what it is I think that is the MLBPA. Like, I think just would love that, but the owners don't want to give it to them because that's more salary. That's more.
Well, yeah, they don't want to give them time.
Yeah. So, and exactly in time, that's the big one. So this is all, and that's what really pisses me off about 90% of what's going on. All this back and forth is about money, and it's about, just getting what you want to make an easy, quick buck. And it is 99.9% on the owners, in my opinion, because I feel like the Players Association is, I don't think that there's one thing that I could say that they don't, that they're fighting for that isn't okay. That doesn't make sense. Actually, so no, maybe just 100% owners. Fuck that. Fuck what I just said.
Well, the owners are like, that's their hill that they're trying to die on right now, is keep the rosters at 26. Because if you expand to 28, it's someone like, let's say Joey Bart, at 28, he has to be on the roster. At 26, maybe not. But if he's on at 28, that's a year of service time because he's going to be on there the whole season. So
he's not going to be on there the whole season. Joey Bart's not going to come up till maybe September. They signed Kirk Casale, and of course Buster Posey's coming back. So
okay, whatever. I don't give a shit about the Giants. A better reference may be the Dodgers with Gavin Lux, because we saw it last year, him not being on the roster the majority of the year, where you have someone like Zach McKinstry who could be on the roster the whole year, and if you give him a year of service time, it won't make that much of a difference. But
Yeah, because
we'll find out.
They're expecting Gavin Lux to be the shit, and they want to try to keep him for as long as they can. But yeah, this whole thing is just more about the quick dollar, and instead, I just don't understand why they keep preaching. We want to grow the game. We want to grow the game. We want to grow the game. But then they have the chance
to grow price.
the game. Yeah, but it's not even that. It's just like, well, I can make, obviously this is, I don't know the exact number, so I'm going to give a ridiculous number just to make my point. But like, hey, you can have $10 right now, or you can, maybe make $8.50 and then do something great for the sport that might grow it to where then you're consistently making $15-$20. You know what I'm saying? So like, it seems like, I mean, obviously these owners are good with their money. They're fucking rich, but like, it just seems like it just doesn't make sense. Baseball, if there was another viral tweet that went around that was showing how popular soccer players are when it comes to the public, their followers on social media.
They're like gods.
Hundreds of millions of followers. Like Ronaldo had like 214 million followers. You look at Tom Brady, he has 9 million followers. Then you look at someone like Mike Trout, best player in our game, 1.8.
500,000. Oh, yeah, that's more than I thought. 1.8.
And it just shows you with the young generation, because that's how you look at popularity nowadays. That's just a fact.
Yeah, whoever's TikToking and flip-flopping and
Okay, bust it.
Yeah.
That's I don't. Yeah, it doesn't make, like, you're supposed to like invest. It just goes against like anything. Like they tell you with money, like you got to invest, and they're just like really penny pinching, holding on to these little things. I understand why they want to hold on to TV restrictions and blackouts. I think it's very stupid. I think it's a lot more of a risk because they're losing a lot of money up front to possibly grow the sport more. I think it would be worth it, but to me it makes sense in how much money they're making, if that makes sense. Am I explaining that correctly?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Here's my take on it, and this is, in my opinion, the most important thing. Last year, there were no fans in the stands, right? Yes. Until the NLCS World Series. I think last year was one of the most exciting seasons I've seen in a long time. The playoffs were great. Listen, hold on.
Your team won the World Series.
I understand that, but I'm saying the level of play was great. But you have these young budding superstars. Like think of all the people that were home last year who may have been introduced to baseball out of sheer boredom or just staying home, and they had nothing to watch and they want live sports. And let's say you fall in love with a team like the Padres, the Dodgers, someone like Mike Trout. This is the year to capitalize on that. This is the year to start promoting those players. Like, this is a huge turning point potentially, and they're going to blow it. And they might even have a chance to expand upon this year, because who knows how many fans are going to be in the stands.
Yeah.
But that should be the goal, is take all those new fans that you gained last season because of the pandemic, because baseball, was one of the first sports back, in a full season, and get them to the stadium when it's safe. And that in a lot of places could be this season. That should be the goal, not this like penny pinching bullshit.
And the worst thing is they're probably going to lose all that traction when this bullshit of a CBA fight is going to happen next year. Unless they just completely capitalize on it this year and they settle their differences. They decide to build on good faith, and they say, listen, DH, let's be about it. Expanded playoffs, I can understand why that would kind of grow the game a little bit. I think it's terrible for baseball. I fucking hate it. But if they were like, add like 2 more teams, like 12 playoff, and they try to figure that thing out, I can maybe fuck with it a little bit. But fuck, 14 teams, almost half the league. Like that's much. And then last year was 16, which is ridiculous. But I can understand how that can kind of grow the game a little bit. Obviously your town's in it. It's a little bit more exciting, even if it's for one playoff series. Obviously, you saw fucking the Padres ready to burn down their fucking city over one division series win. So
over a fake series,
yeah. So like I get it, but just the disregard and just having the one up and to try to just save as much money as possible and act like you're growing the sport because you save 5 minutes off of a game, you're out of your fucking mind.
Here's what I don't understand either. You have everyone crying that, oh, we're broke. The owners are broke. We lost so much money last season. And then I see this thing this week that the Tampa Bay Rays are talking about building a new stadium.
Are they really?
Who? The 6,000 fucking fans they have? Are you out of your fucking mind? You go to the World Series and then you trade away your best player and you already have one of the worst attendances in baseball, and now you have the audacity to say you're building a new stadium when last season you were talking about we'll play half our games in Montreal and half in St. Petersburg. And it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? I don't understand the logic here.
Oh God.
It makes no sense to me.
I hate it how they talk about how they're such a smart organization and they're this and they're that. Like, bro, they like cheat people out of money. Like, they make a lot of money. I don't know where the fuck this lie is coming from. Like, I think just mentalities are changing, right? Because when we were growing up, we were always told, oh man, a team that just buys players, they're the worst. Yankees, everyone hates the Yankees. And you know what the Dodgers were doing for a while. Everyone hates it. And in a way, yes, when it's that extreme, yeah, that's a little much. But to celebrate these teams that are not paying their players and putting the butts in the seats, that shouldn't be looked on as a great thing.
Yeah. The Rays traded their best player.
Yeah,
their
exactly.
Best player. So what do you think?
For a couple of, in the words of my man Blake Snell, a couple slapdick prospects.
It's true. What do you think anyone in Tampa or like Oakland, dude, they can't wait to reach free agency and get the fuck out of there because they know they're not going to get paid.
Yeah. And that's what's sad too. Marcus Semien wanted to stay in Oakland. He made it very clear, like, that he wanted to stay in Oakland. He was trying to figure it out, but they just traded for Elvis Andrus, who's making $14 million this year. And Marcus Semien signed for $18 million to play in fucking Toronto. I'm sure he probably would even took maybe even $1 million less to play in a city that he wanted to play in. Shit, he probably would have signed a 2-year fucking $25 million deal. I don't know. Obviously don't have no inside information, but if someone wanted to be there, like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And the A's owner is like one of the richest owners in baseball. Like, it's crazy that they have this mentality, this reputation. Oh, they're a small market team. No, the owner's just pocketing all the money because he's being a cheap piece of shit.
And this is something, I don't know if we talked about it last week, but it's been on my mind. And everyone's talking about it. Baseball needs a salary cap. Baseball absolutely does not need a salary cap. That would be a horrible idea. But what they do need is a salary floor. There needs to be a floor. Because the
only problem I have with the floor is, okay, well, I'll listen. Sorry, I'll let you finish, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about the floor.
So, like, for me, you look at hockey. Hockey has a salary cap and a floor, and I'm sure other sports too, but I'm most familiar with hockey. It at least makes everyone somewhat competitive. And pretty much every team has at least one superstar or someone close enough to be a superstar, right? But look at this year. I think Trevor Bauer is making almost as much as the Pirates, almost as much as the Indians, and one more team. It might be the Rays, if I'm not mistaken. He's within about $10 million of those teams' payrolls. Mm-hmm. The salary floor should be at least, I don't know, $100 million.
Yep.
To give everyone a chance.
Yeah, and I don't think a salary cap is necessarily a bad idea. I mean, because that would kind of and the only team it would have affected was the Dodgers. The only team that's over it right now is the Dodgers. So if they make like a solid cap, the luxury tax is at like 210. But if it was like a solid, like, you can't go over, maybe do it like 250. I know it's supposed to continually go up. I'm not sure when it's supposed to reach 250, but let's say the cap is at like 250. I mean, I think no one needs to spend over what the Dodgers are spending right now, and you're not cheating players. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only concern. But you are obviously cheating players when you're paying have a a salary cap of I mean, it's not salary cap. If you have a salary of 35, 40 million for a whole roster.
Yeah. No, it just it makes the league worse.
Yes.
And here's the thing I don't understand. It's just like you were talking about earlier with you can take 10 now or 8.5 now and then grow it to hopefully 15 or $20 in a couple years. Dude, if you're the Pirates, yeah, right. To the moon, baby. Dude, the Pirates, like, what was it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? They were a playoff team.
Yeah.
They were exciting. You know who's going to Pirates games now? No one. Because you don't have a fucking team. There's no one on that team. The one person you had, you traded him away this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one to market. It just doesn't make sense.
I think because I believe in rebuilds. If you're a small market team and it's like, listen, we want to be shitty for the next 2 or 3 years, then I think it should maybe, even if it's not like a solid floor and a solid cap, there should be a tax. So if you're going to go under 100 million because you want to rebuild and you want to do it faster, that's fine. You're going to get taxed the same amount as a luxury tax.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It incentivizes you to, okay, I can either pay $35 million and a 20% tax, or pay $42 million and not pay the tax, but get a little bit better quality players.
Or just not even jip your players in arbitration. Be like, yeah, fuck it. We'll up you guys up to what you guys are asking for. The five players, $500,000. That takes care of, do quick math, $2.5 million. Boom.
Yeah.
And then, maybe pay a little money for a freaking starting pitcher, flip them, trade them, whatever, if you're a shitty team. But it could happen. But yeah, I think that would be a lot easier to implement, especially when there's absolutely there's no floor right now. I
think the floor would be easier to implement rather than the cap, because it would be hard to go to the Dodgers, who I think their payroll this year is going to be like $265 million once the whole Trevor Bauer thing goes through, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you can't go to them now and be like, well, the cap's actually 225.
No, exactly.
Figure it out.
So then maybe they should not have solid caps. They should just continue with the luxury tax how it is, and just do a poor tax.
Yeah,
you're going to go under 100 million. Guess what? You're going to get charged 30 million. Yeah, pay.
Guess what, bitch? Nah.
It'll
never. It's not going to happen just because baseball is such a old man's game. But it would be nice. It's definitely something to think about. But
we'll propose it, and when it happens, you heard it here first, and we deserve some of that money. You can just send an eighth of what the bottom cap sends. You know what I'm saying? The bottom penalty. What do we call it? The bottom bitch tax. There we go. That's what we're going to market it. No, fuck that. The bottom bitch tax. An eighth of it goes to Benches Clear Podcast. You heard it here first.
This just happened while we're recording the podcast. Ooh. Andrew Benintendi has been traded to the Kansas City Royals. It looks like it has been formally announced. Red Sox are going to pay $2.8 million of Benintendi's 2021 salary. Frankie Cordero and Josh Winkowski are going back to Boston, and Khalil Lee is going to the New York Mets. So 3-team trade, Benintendi in Kansas City. Whoop-de-doo. This episode has been brought to you by Renovation Candle Company. Spring line out now. Go check it out. Pick it up. More importantly, baseball season's almost here.
Pitchers and catchers report 1 week away. Hey, does that mean the Royals are trying to compete? I guess if they're in the Central, if you're okay, you're going to compete. So
Andrew Benintendi, doubt it.
I like some Benny. They're selling. They're picking him up when he kind of coming off of a down year. I'm putting all my money in on Benny right now, buying low, and then I will sell high. Benny, let's go. I was really wanted to do a countdown for like the first spring training game or pitchers and catchers, but I was worried that it was getting pulled out. So 1 week we're from today when we're recording, it's posting on Thursday. So 1 week from yesterday, we're going to get some baseball. Very excited. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week when there's baseball. And fuck Aubrey Huff.
Always.